In this segment, we're going to take a look at the Edit Text tool found here on the left-hand toolbar, and I think maybe what we'll do is just start with a new window. So I'm going to say New, and we'll choose Embroidery Normal for our fabric and choose the light colored fabric again. And rather than going through the monogramming sort of Windows wizard or interface, I'm just going to choose New Graphic and say Finish. And so it just gives me basically an empty embroidery hoop. And so now I'm going to go ahead and choose the tool. So when I choose Edit Text, basically it's Edit Text or Create Text. So once I turn on the tool, I get the tool options for text. And here I've got the font size, I've got the font name, I've got bold and italic, and smart text with abbreviations. Now, just as an example, I'm going to change to a much more sort of simple font here. So why don't we go with something like Bauhaus. When I want to start typing text, I need to click in my workspace to put down my lettering prompt. And you can see it sort of flashing there. And so now if I go ahead and start typing, and I'll just type in my name, it shows me what that text is going to look like. Now, to finish creating the text object, I can simply come up and click on the rectangle selection tool, and it'll fill that word in with thread and automatically makes it selected. So now it becomes a lettering object, and I can transform it in many ways, whether it be by using the rectangular selection tool to resize it or rotate it or move its position. But what if I wanted to actually change the lettering or add lettering? So for example, if I click on my lettering prompt right now and click to start, it allows me to add new lettering. So I now have two different lettering objects that I've created. There's the word artistic, and then there's the word Trevor. But if I wanted to, let's say, add to the word Trevor, what I could do is select it. So we'll get Trevor selected, and then click on the lettering edit text tool again, and it takes me back to the prompt so that I could type in, for example, I could make space, or whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I actually, because my word was highlighted, when I hit space it just changed it, so I'll just type it in again. Trevor. So that's how I can make it. Now if I select it and click on the text tool, I can also space and add to it. And click on the rectangular selection tool again, completes the lettering and fills it in with thread. So the idea is I have the ability to modify the lettering. So yes, you can select it and edit it with the transform tool, but if you want to actually still edit the actual text, you can select the object and then click on the text tool, and if you wanted to specifically put your prompt, I don't know, in between the I and the S and hit a space, whatever, you can make those kind of modifications. So I could add new lettering, space, and make a whole new way that it's going to sew. So the text tool, that's how it works. You simply turn it on. You have your tool options that you need to set. So why don't we go ahead and choose something really simple like Arial, and then see if we can't make it be bold. So if I choose regular Arial and then type in whatever, Trevor, and then say, well, maybe I want it to be more bold than that, so we'll choose bold, and it fattens it up. Maybe we'll choose italic, and it gives it that italic. And now if I click on my rectangle selection tool, it fills it in with thread. Another thing with the text, and I'm going to go ahead and start text now, is we've got the smart text and abbreviations. Now I'm just going to click on the word abbreviations, and it brings up the abbreviations editor. And so basically this is just a quick way to get certain things to show on your screen. So for example, if we type in 1/2, you'll get a 1/2 symbol on your screen. And if I scroll down the list, you'll see that there's other options here. So for example, if you type in open brackets letter C close brackets, it'll put the copyright symbol down. And you can actually, while you're in this abbreviations editor, you can create your own new abbreviations, and you can edit the abbreviations or delete them. So just as an example, if I put my little text prompt down and then type open brackets, letter C, closed brackets, it replaced that with the copyright symbol. So those are called abbreviations, and you can easily insert those into your designs. So that's creating lettering using the Edit Text tool. And I've already shown this a little bit before, but I'm going to go ahead and show it again here at this point. So for example, if I select lettering and then go to Node Edits or Edit Shape Nodes, because it's a lettering object, it's a text object, the nodes that I get are simply one node per letter, which would give me the ability to move those letters anywhere within the design space that I wanted to. And so you have that ability to change the letter spacing, and this is usually done visually so that you can compensate for irregular shaped letters like the letter V. Imagine that each letter gets a box around it, and so letters that have large sort of slants like this may oftentimes look like they have more space between them than, let's say, when you have two letters that are like an M and an N, which both have kind of a hard side to them like this, and they don't usually have as much noticeable space. So that's your ability to go in and just adjust the letter spacing so that it visually looks pleasing. So that's using Edit Shape Nodes specifically with a lettering object. Now, something else about lettering is that we have the ability, if I select that object, to right-click over top of it. And when you choose to right-click over top of it, the menu gives the option of break apart. That becomes one of your options. And if I was to break it apart right now, what it did was, all these letters are still selected, but if I click to let go right now, you'll notice that now I can select an individual letter, not just my entire word. And so because it's broken that word apart, if I chose Edit Shape Nodes now and take a good close look, instead of getting one little shape node per letter for moving it around, I get the actual points that were used to create this letter. And if I wanted to modify the way the stitching went for that word, for that letter, I could change it to have any shape that I wanted to. So you can quite specifically change the shapes of your letters. Now, if I wanted to move around the letters, I simply go to the rectangular selection tool and select on them, and then I can still move them around. So breaking apart letters changes it from a lettering object to individual embroidery objects. So that's the Edit Text tool, and so I could no longer edit this as text because I broken it apart. It's no longer text. And just as an example, if I chose the Edit Text tool and tried to select this text, it just wants to put my prompt down like I'm going to be typing new text, as opposed to, for example, this font, this object here, which is still a lettering object. And in this case, if I select that lettering object, come back to the Edit Text tool, it allows me to continue editing specifically this lettering set to be whatever you want. All right, so that's the Edit Text tool, and it's what we use to create and edit text objects.